Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. Well, in a bid to enhance participation in auction of minerals, the Mines Ministry has simplified rules. Change of rules include relaxation of end-use reservation, which will now allow miners to utilize the dumps for a value. The ministry also simplified the rules for net worth and upfront payment for bidding for the minerals for inclusion of more miners. Speaking to CNBC TV18, Mine Secretary Arun Kumar said that the government expects to auction 60 to 70 mineral blocks in FY19 itself. Hear him out.
In the earlier system, we were having a requirement of bidding out a block for up to 3 times in case you did not get 3 people bidding for a block. Now, many times what happens is that the block is in a specific area where not too many people have an interest. So we've said that the first attempt will require 3 bids. And in case those 3 bids do not come, that attempt will be treated as annulled. After that, the state, if it so desires, can change the terms of the auction. We have allowed for certain relaxation on sales where a lease has been given for a particular end use. Because sometimes what happens is that an end use, for example, is a cement plant, and you get for limestone, and you get steel grade limestone. So the miner has the sad option of sort of putting it and destroying value, putting it for cement and destroying value. So we've allowed that at 25% can be sold, and the miner will realize value. There will be less unwarranted stacking, and therefore the bid situations will improve.
So in this financial year, how many more mineral blocks can we expect to be auctioned, and what is the revenue realization that you're looking at, and what targets have you set for the next financial year?
For this, the pending 4 months which we have in this financial year, we expect 34 blocks to be auctioned. I think the realizable value over the lease period would be to the tune of about 75,000 crores. Next year, it is difficult to put a target, but we expect about 60 to 70 blocks to come in, and we expect that the value realizable will be about 1,25,000 crores. And as these changes get factored in, I think the situation of takeoff of the blocks being offered will improve.
All right, second quarter GDP growth of 6.3% could be revised higher, hence the chief statistician speaking to CNBC TV18. He also adds that the GST collections may not have been fully captured in this data as things stand.
The quarterly pattern of growth is of some interest because we have had a pattern where for about 5 consecutive quarters growth has been declining. And from that viewpoint, a quarter in which growth picks up is of considerable importance and interest. But the growth which we are talking about is not quarter over quarter, but year on year. It is growth over last year. Because filings were incomplete, we indicated that there is a likelihood of revision, and our understanding from the people in revenue is that they expect people to continue to file returns and make payments towards this quarter even for a little while longer. Our assessment of people who understand the revenue process was that the numbers may show increase because people have delayed making their payments because of some uncertainty of what their true liabilities were. We are not looking at central revenues or state revenues, we are looking at total all India collections on account of GST, and the feeling was that what we have shown as total all India collection on indirect taxes is likely to rise.
Let's move on to a CNBC TV18 exclusive. Utkarsh Chaturvedi, our colleague, caught up with Pawan Munjal, the MD CEO of Hero MotoCorp in Bahamas, began by asking him about the group's target of expanding to 50 countries by 2020.
The previous 2.5 years in our global markets, we haven't had the kind of numbers that we would have liked to As you said, the markets have been subdued, the economies have slowed down, many of these markets, but we are pushing on, we are pushing ahead with our global ambitions. We will be expanding into more countries that we have not yet gone to, countries like Mexico. As far as the 2020 number goes, as we go forward, we will keep reviewing what's happening around the globe.
Is these kind of numbers here to stay, sir? You know, we have had a bumper festive season, but do you think that the rest 6 months will be the same the way festive season was?
We are surely carrying the momentum into the next 6 months, and we plan to do really well.
Speaking about Hero MotoCorp, sir, you know, you have time and again said that one key area for Hero MotoCorp going ahead will be the premium bikes and the scooter segment. Now, you showed us the X-Pulse. By when can we really see X-Pulse 1 coming into the production? And individually, can you share with us some roadmap of how are we really looking to take on the current competition in that space?
You're right. I have in the recent past always said that we are working hard on these two areas where we have smaller market share, the scooter and the premium segment. And there's a fair amount of work going on. We showed you a glimpse at EICMA in Milan, and we are almost round the corner with Auto Expo, and we are going to surprise you.
Can you give our viewers a small hint of what are we going to expect in the Auto Expo?
I would like to do that closer to the Auto Expo, but as I said, I'm very confident that we will surprise our consumers and all you guys.
Speaking about our product pipeline, sir, in the financial report you had spoken about half a dozen product launches, and we haven't seen much of them coming in the first half. So we can see we are expecting 6 product launches in this half. Can you give us a sense of what segments are we looking at?
I will keep to our commitment of half a dozen rollouts before the end of the fiscal. And in terms of the segments, more importantly, we will be there in both the scooter and the premium segment.
So apart from the product pipeline, sir, you had spoken about different branding, especially the retail change in the premium bike segment. Where has that progressed? By when can we see that's really coming in into action and on the ground?
Well, I had mentioned that when you really get into higher cc, bigger cc bikes, then from a 100cc customer to a bigger cc customer, there is definitely a change in the mindset. There is a change in the requirements of the consumers, in the way the products are to be sold and serviced, which does make us go back to the drawing board and think hard how we want to sell those premium products. The ones which are coming right away will be sold through the same retail chain, but we are looking hard at our strategy.
Now, being the leader in the two-wheeler market, how do you see the penetration of electric vehicle in two-wheelers? I remember you have spoken about the fact that you are developing something in your research center. But moving ahead, what kind of role do you think electric vehicles will play in the two-wheeler space?
We in India, as you know, have the BS6 emission norms coming up in 2020. Which does, for a company like ours, which has a very wide portfolio, does involve a fair amount of work, which is where a lot of focus is right now. Having said that, we already have talked about EV development at Hero. We've talked about the electric scooter, which Ather Energy will be launching very soon. So there is a lot of work going on. We are looking at the infrastructure for the EV products. As you know, the government is also very seriously talking about the infrastructure. For a country like ours, that's the key.
Okay, and staying with the auto sector, strong trend seen across companies for November sales. Naveen is here with the details. Naveen, over to you. Morning.
Good morning, Ekta. I'll begin with Tata Motors. Strong growth seen around 48% growth on a year-on-year basis for the total sales. This comes in where an expectation was close to 23% growth. What led to the growth was clearly the CV segment, which was affected positively by one being that the lower base and the other one being higher demand, especially in the MNHCV as well as LCV, both the segments. The CV sales was up close to 72%, while the PV, that is the passenger vehicle volumes, were up close to 35%. On the other hand, see Hero MotoCorp also strong growth, almost 7th consecutive month of 6 lakh plus sales is what the company has done. The total volumes over a year have grown up close by 26% versus an expectation of 20%. Remember, they sold close to 5.2 lakh motorcycles versus 80,000 scooters. On the other hand, TVS Motors was a bit of subdued volume growth. The total volume grew by 12% versus an expectation of close to 22%. Also, one niggling worry is that the domestic sales, that grew by only 6% versus an expected close to more than 10 to 12%. The only saving grace was the export volumes, which grew by 43% at around 32,830 units. Back to you.
All right, now
Mangalam, now back to you. What are the cues in the F&O space?
Well, from the F&O space, there is a lot of unwinding that we saw. Given the sort of cuts that we saw on the Nifty, the cash market flows were fairly positive on Friday's trading session. Both the FIIs and the domestic institutional investors bought about 482 crores. The domestic institutional investors bought about 176 crores. So that figure we need to fix. In the index futures, the FIIs sold about 70 crores, not big in terms of short additions. In the stock futures, we saw a lot of liquidation, 466 crore worth selling. The big number clearly came from index options. Any sort of downside, the FIIs choosing to play it via index options, because 948 crore worth purchase there, 56,000 long puts added and 49,000 short calls added. So protecting themselves from the downside and believing the upside is capped. That's exactly what the FIIs are doing, because if you take a look at the short exposure in index calls, that's become 51% as against 45% on Thursday itself. The put call ratio fell to 1.2 versus 1.32. Any sort of up move may face a bit of resistance, and sustained up move may see some short covering given the sort of writing that we've seen on the 10,300 call, 10,400 call, even the 10,200 call, while protection was sought at those 10,000 levels. Long positions unwound in Balkrishna Industries, Mahanagar Gas, Syndicate Bank, even the likes of Tata Power and Indocount, all these F&O counters, and some shorts added on both KPIT as well as Equitas. If you take a look at the NBFC space, that one really underperformed on Friday's trading session. But that's as far as the F&O cues are concerned. Let's shift focus to the commodities arena. Manisha Gupta joins us with all the updates coming in from that space. Morning, Manisha.
Hi, morning, and thank you so much for that. Well, there's so much happening in the global markets that the markets would react to in Asia today. One, of course, you had the U.S. tax reforms being passed by the Senate, so that takes it one more step further. But on the other side, with the ex-National Security Advisor Flynn now pleading guilty, is ready to talk about Russia contacts as something that has pulled the dollar down. So with the U.S. dollar seesawing on both sides with the kind of news that we have from global markets is impacting the commodities as well. So the crude oil prices, of course, which had gained nearly a couple of percentage points post the OPEC meeting, haven't been able to hold to those kind of gains. Add to it the fact that the U.S. rig count has increased for a second straight day. The markets also would watch out for the winter's demand from the Western world, and that will tell you where the prices are headed. But most people do believe that we will be consolidating around these areas. We are holding above 60 for the Brent prices, and the charts really look good as we head into the year end. One quick word on the metal space, where you have seen the lead and zinc prices gain up by 3% on Friday, and we have started Asia firm. It is the battery demand, it is China cracking down on pollution concerns, everything coming together, and these are a couple of metals to watch out for the trading day today.
Okay. All right, Manisha, thanks very much for that. So that's what's happening in the currency in the commodity space. Well, let's quickly just tell you what's happening in the Asian markets this morning. Remember that for the US markets, it was a down session, but that was before the tax bill was really approved. So that is going to be a reaction that we're going to see today. But the Asian markets don't seem that enthused at this point in time. It's completely mixed in terms of a reaction, but it's a whole different picture for the Dow futures. That should come up for you, and that's been in the green. SGX also indicating that it's going to be a positive start for us this morning. So maybe we're going to claw back from Friday and what we saw in the second half. But the top focus today will be the appointment of Salil Parekh as the MD and CEO of Infosys. Here's a word from the board member Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw on the appointment.
Well, let me say that every candidate had great attributes, but I think on a holistic way, I think Salil came as the best choice, because I think we wanted someone who had a rich experience in the IT services business, and as you know, Salil has had a very long experience and a very global experience at that. We also wanted someone who understands the new trends and new digital opportunities, which again Salil is driving within his present company. And we also felt that we needed someone who understood the challenges of handling a large workforce in India, which I think he does.
Right, an interesting intersection there with Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw of Biocon speaking about Infosys, both those stocks on the radar. With that, it's a wrap on Power Breakfast, but stay tuned to CNBC TV18. As we wrap, we leave you with the picks of our bullseye contestants there.
Our first call is a buy call on Phenotex Chemical FCL for a target of 49, stop loss at 38.25. Second call would be a sell call on Voltas for a target of 589, stop loss at 630. Third call would be a sell call on Container Corp for a target of 1244, stop loss at 1304. And final call would be a sell call on Federal Bank for a target of 101, stop loss at 112.
My first call is a buy call on CompuEdge Infocom. Buy CompuEdge Infocom, stop loss 33.80, target 75. My second call is a sell call on Bharat Forge, sell Bharat Forge, stop loss 703, target 655. My third call is a sell call on Federal Bank, sell Federal Bank, stop loss 114.50, target 101. My last call is a buy call on GTPL Hathway, buy GTPL Hathway, stop loss 161, target 183.
The first sell recommendation is on Hindustan Zinc Futures. One can sell Hindustan Zinc Futures for a target of 290.70 with a stop loss of 304. The second sell recommendation is on M&M Finance. One can sell M&M Finance Futures for a target of 424.50 with a stop loss of 454.50. The third sell recommendation is on PFC. One can sell PFC Futures for a target of 113 with a stop loss of 124.75. And a final sell recommendation is on KTK Bank. One can sell KTK Bank Futures for a target of 143.75 with a stop loss of 158.